Testing.
We
One,
all?
two, 1, 2.
Testing.
Here we are.
Here we are again.
Hi, Tessa.
Hey, Tricia.
Welcome to Strong Female Pod.
Yeah, welcome to the pod. We
Welcome.
missed you.
Welcome to our podcast.
You're having a good week.
Yeah, we hope you're having fun. All you singletons out there, we hope you're okay with it and you're still enjoying the sunshine because it shines for you also.
Yeah. This is like the first week of summer and I'm dying and Tricia's loving it. I'm like, please bring back winter.
Oh my God.
Bring back the season that makes sense.
Please, keep the sun. I don't move in the winter. I don't move.
No, winter is beautiful and everything is dark and crisp. So good.
How do you keep up your energy in the winter? That's the thing.
All of the energy in the winter. I'm just like so excited to go outside like every day. It's so beautiful and chilly and everything is like frosted.
I like cold weather. I should say that. I just need sun.
Like a late fall.
Yeah, or even winter. When I went to Iceland, the weather was cold. It was the summer. It was in the 50s, not that cold, but it was brilliantly sunny. Like, so I just need sun is really the issue.
Yeah. I feel like I get a good amount of vitamin D. That's what you said.
Speaking of vitamin D,
yeah.
what movie are we doing?
Yeah, we're getting some vitamin C. This week, we brought to you another Manic Pixie Dream Girl in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
We did. We did. What a great title.
Yes, I love the quote that they that this
Yeah.
is from too, and I was like,
Oh, read it.
how happy is the blameless vestal's lot, the world forgetting, by the world forgot. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind, each prayer accepted, and each wish resigned. I'm assuming that the asterisks there are for a native, I'm going to guess Scottish or Irish speaking, so I attempted in no way to do the accent.
Yeah, you really had almost an NPR kind of.
That's what I was going for.
Just your voice.
Your
I didn't even
monotone.
know who was. I was like, is this your quote voice?
It's one of my, it's my quote voice.
I like that.
Well, I was trying so hard to not do an accent.
So
Because like everything, the way it's written in this screenshot is like say it Irish, but say it Irish.
So I like that. So yeah, how happy is the blameless vestal's lot, the world forgetting, by the world forgot. It's so interesting. So yeah, so people forgetting and being forgotten.
But that's so hard. It's just like a black hole.
An eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. Yeah. So
It's just like an ode to dumb people.
no, it's an ode. I think it's an ode to
I wish I was a dumb
no
person.
pain. The pain involved with memories, right? And experiences. I don't know. That's how I saw it. But it does almost seem a little Alzheimer's-ish as well in terms of just you're not held back by any memory or anything coming through your mind that's reminding you of something else and then connecting this and then causing an emotion.
Yeah. I always connect like this type of thing to like, I always like kind of, you envy the dumb because they're like, supposedly they're like probably really good at sex. Because they just like, they don't care about, like, they're so unaware that they just bumble through life successfully.
Oh my God, I thought you said they're really good at sex.
Yeah.
Dumb people.
Yeah. Because you're so unaware of, like, how you look or what thing, like, you're so outside of your, like, own head
So
that
you
you're, like,
think
really
dumb?
enjoying the experience.
You think dumb would mean not self-conscious?
Like, lacking in, like, most self-awareness. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
I think that would be my connection to, like, wisdom is being self-aware. But it also probably means that you're sadder than most.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think of how it would be nice to be dumb because, you wouldn't be saddled with the things you know or have learned. But then you hear the happiness is a choice thing, and it's like, but is it? I mean, I think it feels like it should be, but how do you making that choice, sometimes you have to ignore or not be aware of certain things.
Yeah. Which is just like, like I feel like some people are like, maybe a better word would be, ignorant, like the willfully ignorant. And I'm like, I wish I could do that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love some ignorance.
Yeah. Which is like pretty much the theme of the movie.
It's such a good movie. So what's the plot?
Yeah. Give you a little background. So after a painful breakup, Clementine, who's Kate Winslet's character, undergoes a procedure to erase memories of her former boyfriend, Joel, who's Jim Carrey, from her mind. When Joel discovers that Clementine is going to extremes to forget their relationship, he undergoes the same procedure and slowly begins to forget the woman that he loved. Yeah, so it's pretty much just about intricacies of relationships, pain, loss. I love it.
Is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved? You know,
can't always agree with that quote. I'm like, I feel like
well, it's asking.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
what would you agree with or disagree with? Because I think it's asking a question.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Again, I'm like, if you were like willfully ignorant and had never fallen in love, are you better off than somebody who's been repeatedly hurt?
I guess it depends what better off is.
Yeah.
It depends. Does that mean not having experienced the pain or not having an experience? I'm the kind of person I would rather have experiences, high and low, than not to have experienced.
Yeah, I'm much more of a calculated risk person.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what's the odds on the return on this as an action or an inaction?
Yeah, like would you sign up? So this procedure is basically they erase all remnants of memories about this person, so you don't even know who they are or that you ever knew them. Would you choose to do that after a painful breakup?
I would choose to.
Have you done it?
I signed up. It's next week.
Cool.
I would choose to do this if I knew that the person who I was forgetting could not do it. That would be my only caveat. I don't want to run into this again. Like the Clementine, and Joel's situation where they both forgot each other, and that's what enables them to re-find each other. I would only do this if I could forget, but you have to remember.
I thought it was more out of spite, like they have to remember the entire
how
thing.
great I was.
How amazing you were, and how great it was, and then you don't know they exist anymore.
Yeah, new phone who dis, but all the time.
But bye. But okay, I see. Yeah, because when they both forget each other, then they have the opportunity to meet each other again. But then it just raises all of these issues about fate. And was this supposed to be a part of their experience, and they tried to get rid of it, and then they couldn't?
Yeah, but I also think that like the character, Elijah Wood's character, is also at fault for like what brings them back together. Like I have a hard time calling it fate when somebody is. I think it's more like recognition of these words and of these. Like you can delete the memory, but I think like sense memory might still be there, and somebody like rubbing that bruise.
Who's implanting
stuff in her brain. Something's not right. Like I've heard this before, or I felt this before, or I should feel this way, having heard these things before.
Yeah, but what about Joel's character though? Because he does forget, right? And then she forget, but she's the only one being manipulated by Elijah Wood.
But he doesn't remember Clementine until she gets that packet in the car. On the train, he's avoiding her. On the platform, he's avoiding her. He's like, who's that crazy girl with the blue hair? Let me stay away from her. And then she's the one making advances. So something like I would believe that like something in her is drawing her towards closer and closer to him.
Yeah.
But it's also because that Elijah Wood character is like feeding her his words.
So I wonder if they would have if Elijah Wood wasn't such a part of this. Such a real fucking weirdo.
A creep.
What a dick.
Yeah. I would be so terrified. Oh, yeah. I was like, what's the security like in this like hospital where all of my like private memories are just like
nightmarish.
Yeah.
And he just holding on to this stuff and taking her
rifling
panties
through it just to get like more memories out of her. And I was like, why would you want to live somebody else's romance like that so inauthentically? And I'm like,
well, you must. I mean, to settle for that, there's something up with you.
Because Mark Ruffalo's character gives him like a hard time about like, oh, you've got a girlfriend, kind of ignoring him. He's like, I have a girlfriend,
right?
You know, I'm not always the singleton. Sometimes
he's fighting against the singleton status.
You know,
maybe he just needed a twin. Yeah. So okay.
So
yeah.
Let's start with Joel.
Okay.
Because we're examining Manic Pixies this month. So let's start with Joel. Why does he need so much help? What's going on there? I love Jim Carrey in a dramatic role. I think that comedians make the best sad people.
This is the only role I've liked Jim Carrey in.
What?
I do not think he's funny.
What?
I don't like his humor. I don't like his comedy. I think he's very talented. I just don't like it. Mm-hmm. It's not for me. I hate Ace Ventura. I hate all of that stuff. He was flawless in this. I thought he was incredible.
He was this and the Andy Kaufman movie. I think I was crying at the end of it. I was like, I could totally understand how that movie kind of broke him.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But this almost seemed like it was maybe more like him. I imagined maybe this role was more his like regular personhood.
Yeah.
Situation.
Yeah. He's definitely
supposed to be very depressed. Jim Carrey sad comic. He was awesome in this.
Yeah. And I think, like, that's, like, to me, like, the funniest people, like, do that dance between what is tragic and what is comic. And you kind of maybe landing on one side or of the extremes, but he was just phenomenal. The scene where he's, like, crying.
He just he was unable to connect with people, I think.
But he had a live-in girlfriend at the beginning. Well, we find out later, but, like, he has this live-in girlfriend. It's not going well.
But we never really see them together. I don't really know what that relationship is like.
He's obviously unhappy because he's making it himself very available to Clementine.
Right. He wants to get out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. He's just very depressed.
He's depressed. He has, like, social anxieties. And then he meets Clementine. He decides to do something he never does.
Go to the beach.
Go to the beach in February. And I was like, that is exactly something I would do.
For
me and this character would get along great.
Probably would. Yeah. Where is he? Joel?
Joel?
He'd probably erase memory of you. Because you would break his heart so much. You would erase.
I would erase mine. He would have to live with memories.
He would have to.
Yeah, that's the only way to make it work. And I just want to say, Joel is kind of an asshole. The way that he describes Clementine and saying, like, she's kind of dumb and I can't really talk to her and she's like all these things, and I was like, I think, and I hope that these were all just coming out of a place of anger because it's after he finds out that he's been removed from her memory. But it's also funny that, like, as he's remembering Clementine, she's so sweet and nice to him. She's very rarely, like, the person that he describes at the end who's just, like, ornery, and she's, like, you know...
Well, don't we see her we see them arguing.
Yeah. But, like, when she has, like, some agency in his memories, when he's trying to drag her from memory to memory, the way she's interacting with him, she believes him immediately. Well, I mean, also, maybe this is just his own...
But that's a construction.
Yeah, this is his own construction of her.
That's why this is...
So which was reality and which was the
I don't know. And then also, when we, jump into Clementine, was the construction of her in the dream more Manic Pixie, much more Manic Pixie than the actual Clementine? It's just all very strange to me.
Yeah. I was surprised when I saw Clementine on the list of Manic Pixie Dream Girls. I'd never considered her one. Mm-hmm. I think, like, to me, like, quintessential Manic Pixie Dream Girl is Elizabethtown, Kirsten Dunst, who's also in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I was like, how the hell did she get here? And she is a Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
She was getting ready. She was just prepping. She was getting primed for her Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
Well, I think Clementine's the anti-Manic Pixie Dream Girl. I think we're led to believe that she is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing about her other than the fact that she's quirky and eccentric. There was nothing. And
she does, like, lead him. She is his, like, growing up Sherpa, like, through losing her in this experience of deleting the memories and trying to save her. He grows up, but I don't know that she's changed. But kind of at the end, she shows a little bit of change.
But we see her inner world more, and we see her struggles, and there's nothing really, there's no whimsy, except, I mean, she's pretty...
Well, she's, like, eclectic in her clothes and her hair,
but then very, like, gritty, kind of, in terms of, and not gritty, but just, like, almost too straightforward when she's talking to him for a Manic Pixie. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what Manic Pixies are talking about most of the time.
I feel like she has an agenda, which I think most Manic Pixies don't. She wants, like, like in one scene she's like, I want to have a baby. Yeah. And I was like, you want something? That's a very un-Manic Pixie thing to say or to display, is that you want something or that you require something of...
Or to have a drinking problem, or to get into, those kind of things. Like, a Manic Pixie could drink like a drunk, but will never have a drinking problem. Mm-hmm. Those kinds of... I thought she wasn't, but I was drawn to thinking she was. Like, when I went to go watch it again, I was positive that I was going to see a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. And then I was like, oh shit, she's not. She does have her own feelings and stuff. But we don't get that deep into her. It's all still associated with him. But he's the lead character, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I was like, it actually made me appreciate 500 Days of Summer even more, because Summer and Clementine are more similar of characters, where they're not Manic Pixie Dream Girls. It's through the protagonists we're experiencing them through that we get the idea that they should be or are Manic Pixie Dream Girls, but they're actually not. But I do appreciate now the narrator saying in the beginning of 500 Days of Summer that this is not a romantic comedy. This is a love story. Whereas you have to figure that out through the film through the lens of the director and through the imagery on the screen, that like when he's deleting her, like in the beginning, it's in the second and third watching of this movie, you figure out the way the director is like cueing you into like, this is a flashback, this is a flash forward, this is the memory that's being deleted, and her hair, but
it's a lot. It's a little tough to kind of decipher where you're at.
Yeah, if you got all that in the first viewing, then probably...
What drugs were you taking?
Exactly.
And do you remember it? And then can you tell us?
Yeah. Now thinking about it, there is a distinct difference between Clementine, the woman he's interacting with like the second time around, and the Clementine of his memory. That Clementine, I would agree, is a Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Is one?
The one that he's constructed, who he's dragging from memory to memory. That girl
those are Manic Pixie.
Is a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, but
events. Yeah.
Right. And this Clementine, the real girl who works at Barnes and Noble.
I think you're right. We sort of like came to that realization together, because it really is. Because which Clementine, and that might be a piece of who Clementine is, she might have a part of her that does function as a Manic Pixie Dream Girl for him, but it really couldn't be the darker side of Clementine leading him through that dream part. She would just fight him on it. Yeah. So it can't happen. But then we do see the real side of her. And, this is what we wanted in 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
We never got to see the real side of Zoe, except for her just kind of like rolling her eyes at him sometimes.
Yeah.
So we did get to see, and telling him we acted uncool. But and I was just like, oh, whoa. Interesting.
And I was curious, like, they only really, in the movie, they don't spend a lot of time interacting with Joel and Clementine's greater world. They kind of explore this, like, if you forgot and I didn't. Like, the scenario with the doctor and Kirsten Dunst, that's the scenario I want. Like, I want to remember, and then you can forget, and then hopefully I wouldn't keep you on as my assistant, but if this was some sort of inter-office romance. But
I thought it was interesting that they had a very small subplot like that, and then she ended up being more meaningful to the plot in terms of sending them the tapes and everything and kind of bringing it together that way. Yeah, that was very interesting and uncomfortable situation, because everyone knows but her. And then so how do you keep her on? But then how would you deny her the job? I mean, I guess you just wouldn't hire her, or does she forget you? Like, so forgetting him means forgetting the job. Did she go and ask to be hired again? Was she drawn to it? I don't remember.
I think that he reset her to the point before it happened. So she still has like these like amorous feelings, but she's just like doesn't. I think she obviously
should have gone further.
But
if you're going to do it,
because he can't fire her, because then it would be like, how do I have my apartment? How do I live wherever I live? Like,
maybe she had another job before. How does anyone in a relationship where they're already set to see that person every day, like a work thing, how do any of them get past this memory situation? Because you are going to still have feelings. Yeah. Because the feelings don't get erased.
Exactly. And
he needs to learn how to erase the feelings.
Where are those stored?
But that could be a daddy. That could be a daddy thing also. Not to be cliche, but like her with the older man and stuff. So you can't go that far back. So what do you do? It's just something in her.
Yeah. And I was like, you make up an excuse to fire her.
Yeah. At free will employment, it's much easier to fire the private sector. He probably should have just fired her.
Yeah.
Because then the other guy's with her, and then that's
claiming like he doesn't know. And I was like, I don't believe you, Mark Ruffalo. You look like such a scumbag in this movie, but you're gorgeous in real life, so it's forgiven.
I love Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, it is. I was wondering why he wasn't, because I'd forgotten about the whole thing with the doctor and Kirsten Dunst until I watched it this time. And I was wondering why Mark Ruffalo wasn't more annoyed or a little like,
she brings him up a lot
when he comes up, when he goes in to save the day, and she like, bye, whatever, and I'm all about him. And I was just like, he was close to potentially maybe getting laid and didn't seem at all like disgruntled, and that is not the typical reaction you see in a situation like that. And so I was like, oh shit. And then it became clear, but I'm like, wow, well, maybe he just doesn't really like her.
Yeah.
But
He seemed to. Yeah.
So then it was more like an acceptance thing. Like, this is just like what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And it comes back like, there's a scene like, I think in the last 10 to 15 minutes where she's like gathering all her things in the office and steals the files. And she's like talking to Ruffalo and she's like, you know, swear to God that you didn't know. And he's like, I didn't know. And she's like, you didn't have any suspicions? And then he's like, well, there was this one time, and that you guys did like interacted in a way that was just like weird. So I was like, but I think you knew. I don't believe you, Ruffs. They call him Ruffs.
Here's the thing, guys. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
When those
When
office romances or something is going on, everybody knows. Even if they don't know if you've slept together or how far, or everyone knows there's something going on. It's impossible to fully hide that if you're in a small office and you're interacting with everybody every single day.
And if it is you, just don't tell me specifically.
You don't like to be the holder of those secrets?
No, I never ask, but I'm always told.
So do people come to you to, like, so people share
people's
secrets
personal
with you?
Oprah. Like,
people share secrets with you.
Yeah. Every day is like secrets revealed to me.
People tell me their secrets, and I love it.
No, I don't know what to do with that. Like, there's no files in my head marked other people's secrets as useful information. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this.
I love it because I think people are so fascinating.
Yeah.
So then when I hear something, or if they want to tell me, and I just store it away in the vault, and then I'm just like, wow, that, I don't know, just painted the person in a different color to me.
Yeah.
For instance, this person would not mind. It's a professor from college. She shall remain unnamed. We were having a cigarette. This is what you did. At University of Michigan in the early 2000s, you like hung out with professors sometimes. They came to parties. Like, I'd have cigs and like grab a drink with a professor. One of them even came to a sex toy party that my roommates and I threw because she was the professor for the class was Sexual Revolution.
Okay.
So she was like total hippie. But she had, I don't think she's listening to this podcast, guys. She told me that she was in an open marriage. And this was, I mean, you know, now you hear that and you're like, who isn't? But in 2002, and my being, you know, 20, coming from a super conservative area, I was like, oh my. And like something like that, I'm like, I wonder what it was to make this, you know, about me. What it was about me that she felt she could say that. I thought it was so fascinating. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, but I'm like, I'm some 20-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know, bringing your love, talking about your lovers. Love that. Secrets.
Yeah. I don't know what to do.
So I just shared one, as I said, they go in the vault. But that, whatever.
You didn't.
She's in her late 60s now. She don't give a fuck, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just never know what to do because like I'm working on not giving unsolicited advice. So I never know.
Yeah, but
like, are you looking for?
Sometimes that's soliciting.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't want to overstep, but also, okay.
I guess you could say, what do you want to occur in this conversation?
But I'm like, is that rude? And I was like, do people know?
Yeah, they might not know.
Yeah.
When they're doing it.
Yeah, and I'm like if a friend was like, oh my God, I've loved him for like 5 years, and like, you know, he's single, should we try to hook up? Or just like, that's a direct question, so I'd probably answer it. Yeah. The answer's probably no, because in reality, you both had that option for 5 years.
Yeah, but now they do it.
It's like him being single didn't change anything. He could have left whoever he was with if you were the one. Like, what actually changed? He wasn't married. Like, I'm a bad person to ask for some of this advice too. So I'm like, because that would be my answer. I'm like, no, you shouldn't do it. No.
Well, if I may, it seems like some of your thinking can be very
I'm objective
and a little black and white.
Yeah.
In terms of stuff that can get muddied for people that are in it. So a nice way of saying that is very objective, which the outside opinion is supposed to be objective, but you're able to compartmentalize certain things more so into like right or wrong, just based on like conversations we've had. And I'm a little more of that gray person, not to say, you know, certain things don't hurt other people's feelings or certain things you shouldn't do. And yes, there are ways you could do this wrong. I don't know. I have more of a sort of, it really depends on the situation and who the person is, and things don't always fall into those buckets for me. Like I would probably say, I mean, I would just, if you want to do it. I think that was kind of a bad example because
that would probably be my answer. But if the question was, what do I think you should do versus like,
they should ask, what would you do?
Yeah, because I was like, I'm giving an answer as if it was me.
Yeah.
Not really.
And that person might be worse off with regrets than getting into a situation that didn't work. Yeah. And then that depends are they looking for experiences or are they looking for, same comes back to the movie sort of, would you have wanted to have done it or not?
Yeah, how risk tolerant are you?
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, yeah, that would be my answer. I'd be like,
if it didn't happen, then no.
Right? Yeah, and I was like, if he's just been dating somebody for like 5 years and this whole time we've had chemistry and the only thing preventing us from being together or exploring whatever that was is a girlfriend that he's obviously not interested in, you're not that interested in me.
Yeah.
And he's like, not interested enough to choose me. You didn't even choose me now. You broke up with her. And I was there. So I'm like, I don't feel like that's a situation that I would want. But then again, like, I never know. Like, are you asking me what I would do or do you want advice for yourself? Like,
and also, to me, people stay in relationships for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
It depends how risk adverse that person is. So, like, there can be reasons why people don't go after the person that they love. Mm-hmm. And even though they might be happier that way. And so kind of taking that stuff into account, and it's all just very messy.
Yeah, and I'm mess averse and risk averse.
So I probably accept the mess a bit too much, but like it also, I think it just makes things, it gives them a little more, I don't know.
I do want to say, like, in that scenario, he's just broken up with a girlfriend and now he wants to be with you. That situation I would say no to. If in the future we found each other, like some time has gone by, I don't like that. If you like someone, you shouldn't tell to be the rebound, in my opinion. If you know, like, he's just broken up with someone and he didn't break up with her specifically to be with you, like, there's more to the story.
But at least he broke up with her.
Why is that better?
It'd be worse to me if the girlfriend broke up with him and then he was going after the friend who was a girl. Because he didn't choose to break it off.
Oh.
Like, he just ended up single. And then it's like, oh, hey.
Okay. Because I see it like, if he's just ending the relationship and not because it's me.
Yeah.
Then I feel the same way. Like, there's no difference if she did it or he did it. You're still not. Neither of you chose me.
Yeah. Mine would be like, well, he realized and was able to blah, 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 decide if he didn't want her, and then, or it wasn't working, and, I've always had this with you, do you want to try it out?
It's still a plan B, and I'm like, oh, nobody wants to be plan B.
Yeah, and I don't think they're plan Bs.
Yeah.
Like, just the same way I don't think, like, divorces are failures necessarily.
I don't think divorces are failures.
But, like, it was a plan that didn't work out.
I'm saying that you're acting, like, you're improvising right now, and I want you to be on book. I need to know, like, for my own security, that this is a choice you're making. You're not just going on a whim. I don't want to be your whim.
Yeah.
If I want this to be something, if it's just a fling, then just do it. Just do it. If you know, like, in your
Guys,
mind that this is nothing.
If this ends up staying in the podcast, find out who Tessa's talking about, and then tell us what you think.
Everyone is going to think it's them, except for the married ones.
Tessa's friends. Who is this? What's happening?
I'm going to get so many texts. A lot of people are going to think it's them. It's not
yet. And guess what we can do? We can try to erase your mind.
Yay!
So is she a manic pixie, or is she not? Clem.
I'm going to say she's not. I'm going to say she's not. And I'm also, like, pretty surprised that she shows up on the Manic Pixie Dream Girl lists that are out there.
I think it's simply because of the wild, quirky thing that people associate with. And she is somewhat manic, but she's not, like, fairy dust. She's actually quite complicated and complex. It's frankly, it's her hair, I think, and like the way that she talks.
I was talking to Diane actually, and I was like, I just kind of am like cluing into the fact that like quirky often in Hollywood means like has some sort of mental health issue. Yeah. Like, and I never put those things together. Offbeat. Yeah. And I was like, oh. But that was this week I came to that realization. That's what they mean. Yeah. I just thought like, oh, free-spirited, like goes where the wind blows her.
It's seen as a negative.
Yeah.
To be quirky.
Yeah. And I'm kind of taken aback that I've never made that correlation that those things are
I didn't
connected.
Either. And I feel like it's sort of, even in a fantastic movie like this, well, actually, no, because he's not doing it. The writer isn't making her a manic pixie. But in a lot of movies, it's the way to how do you illustrate that this person has these characteristics in this short period of time, especially when you're not going to dive into them at all, and they're just a surface character. Yeah. Give them a funky haircut. Like, when you're strutting into someone's life and you're going to be a disruptor, you got to have cool bangs. Like, they have to do something to make them stand out in a way that makes it obvious from the beginning. And all it is funky interests and a quirky personality. And it's like, can't that just be the way that someone is? You don't have to be imbalanced to have that. So that, she was just those things, but that wasn't why, her hair isn't why she felt the way she was. Like, I don't know.
And I honestly feel like I just didn't think that Hollywood addressed mental health issues at all. So to kind of see this, like, underlining, or like, not silver lining, but to realize that, they've been talking about this the whole time, and I just was not registering any of it. Also because they did hide it. But none of it had registered. But, like, it's very insidious now that I watch Insidious. Great movie. But it's very much ingrained. But also, I think that's why I love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend so much, is because they call it out.
Yes.
They don't just make the character a quirky girl who's just, like, has these qualities that would register for most people as, like, anxiety and depression and, and having borderline. Right. Those things are named. And so when you see those in, like, other people, or you've experienced those things for yourself, you're not just like, I'm just quirky. Yeah. Or to be like, for a male, to be like, I'm brooding. No, you might be depressed, and we can help you with that.
I see. Yeah.
People, not me specifically, I cannot help you.
Yeah.
But people can help you. People can. Diane can help you.
Don't tell your secrets.
Yeah, don't tell me. Don't tell me your secrets. Actually do send them to me.
It is weird. They have been addressing it, but on a surface level, and then also just attributing cliches to it.
Yeah.
Like, this person, this is what it means. This is what someone looks like when they're crazy, but it's in a way that's palatable.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, someone can look like that and not be crazy, and then someone who's crazy can look totally different. But they have been doing it.
Yeah.
For a while, I guess, especially with the female characters, but we don't.
But literally making women crazy. Like, I get it. Like, you've, like, crazy, but I'm like, wow, like, you've literally, like, given so many female characters so many attributes that are mental health issues, and then wonder why when women act a certain way, we're called crazy. And I'm like, wow, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I was like, if we're only imagery of us is this way.
Right.
And it does reflect some behavior. But the only response to it is to say, you're crazy, and then those girls disappear, never to be seen again, never to be helped.
Or they're used as a plot device, like, crazy can be a negative thing, and then if the male character wants it, it's a positive thing. Because those attributes are what's helping me get out of my shell. But then I couldn't actually be with someone who's like that, so then they have to disappear. And don't even get me started. My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a hilarious title, and it is so poignant, and, like, it's perfect for the show. But God, is it a pet peeve when talking to someone and they say, "Oh, my ex, she's crazy."
Yeah.
And it's just, and I know they're playing on that, and she, has a mental illness and is, exhibiting, like, behaviors of it. But it just, when it's just used to describe someone that you're no longer with, either they hurt you or you hurt them, or you decided not to be together anymore and it ended badly, then they must be crazy. And I wonder what behaviors. Or maybe they called you, maybe they were upset, maybe they were hurt, maybe they got angry, maybe you guys had a screaming fight. Please don't tell me they're fucking crazy. And I guarantee there's someone out there who says that, I dated Tricia, she's crazy. Good. Yeah. Say it. It doesn't even fucking mean anything. And I don't believe anyone who says
such a high value placed on being stoic, which is a male characteristic. Right. And not having, like, emotions. And men do display, like, large displays of emotion. It's just not in the same ways that a woman would. No. But it's definitely, like, penalized to show emotions in a feminine, any sort of feminine way, and praised to be like, well, you should just hold that in and just be a man about it and stiff up her lips and all that kind of bullshit. But also, I did want to say, like, the show is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, not My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And I only say that because I listened to Rachel Bloom in an interview, and she's like, it really annoys when people say My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, just because it, like, ties her in a negative way to, like, the male characters on the show.
Got it. I'm very sorry. The title is amazing, and your character has an uncanny resemblance to me at times in some of my mannerisms. And thank God I start to not recognize myself in her, even at the end of the first season. Thank you, Jesus. Because I was really going to be concerned.
Yeah.
Like it was some sort of, well, it's weird. I mean, has that ever happened to you? Just personality.
No.
Her looks are not what made me feel the way that I felt. Like it was personality and also career path.
Yeah.
But the mannerisms and the way that she kind of spoke, and I can get a little manic and hyper, and then I can get a little down, and like all that fun stuff in between. So that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yay or nay?
No, but if I had to describe myself, like currently I'm like a cross between Karen Walker and Issa from Insecure. If those two characters had a brainchild, it would be me.
Okay, has anyone told you that there was someone, rather than you, because you can pick out someone for yourself. I mean, I would love to do that. This wasn't picked, like, I didn't pick her, Karen Walker.
Well, honestly, no, I couldn't say that there's a character that's currently or previously been on TV who I think is like,
kind of
that's
personality.
Spooky. Like, yeah, like okay. That's weird. That's real accurate. No, that's never happened to me. But I get Karen Walker a lot, but she's just my favorite written character. I think she's very good, hilarious, and like I study that character the way that like that you would feel about maybe like Nancy Botwin is how I feel about Karen Walker. She's perfection. Just like all the agency in the world. Yeah, she does. Such an SFL from like day one, and I was like, I am about it. But yeah, I wish I could see.
Yeah, it was really funny where the conversation was going, and I truly. Like, the added stuff is just, like, funny, but the way that she's speaking and kind of has her minor freakouts and her thoughts are bouncing around and she's trying to, like, kind of just, like, figure things out, and she's kind of reactive. Like, on my most stressed or anxious days, I can relate to that on a small percentage. Then some of the relationship dynamics and acting out and then the attention seeking, that is way out of my domain. Like, I don't understand it and actually freaks me out. Like, I would like to be witness, as I said, but like doing that sort of obvious creating chaos and I mean, the pattern thing is very interesting to see because like I do think all of us sort of put ourselves in not all of us, but some of us can put ourselves in self-defeating situations that like we just haven't figured out the right way to get out of, so we do it over and over. Right. But it is just, when she's just really the lying and the like, just like you're like, I'm not a sociopath, I do not treat people the way that Rachel does. We know where it's coming from, you know, eventually, but that's uncomfortable. Yeah. But really just the strung out sort of, and then like, and then going down because the emotions are too hard, and then she's exhausted and she's feeling it so much and she's trying to fill something. And the, you know, criticism with her mother and the not her dad leaving and not being enough. Like I get how that can work out in your adulthood, and I felt some of that stuff myself. Yeah, and that I think is fucking Joel in this movie. Yeah, that everything you just described is Joel, but he's undiagnosed. Like he gets to be the identified and unidentified patient. Like, so you would be the one who comes into therapy, but like there could be like somebody outside who's also like contributing quite a bit to the way you're reacting and acting out. And I'm like, Clementine is the identified patient. Something's up with Clementine. Yeah. Which is kind of making her the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. And he has Joel has depression too. Like, and I feel like that would be my only critique of the movie, is that like, and of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope, is that you've got an identified patient always. It's always the Manic Pixie Dream Girl who's the one who's eccentric. Yeah, who's eccentric, or her emotions are too big, and she's, you know, and she's wild, and she's, you know, just being erratic in some way. Which are tropes of like mental health issues. Mm-hmm. But then we've also got an unidentified patient who is the male protagonist, who's being drawn to the person like that, and then it's a moth to a flame. That's like people with like, I'm very like, I'm discernive, I'm like very calm, and I feel like people who have an opposite energy, like moths to a light, like really weird, Tessa.
like part of me is fascinated by that too, like the ENFPs of the world, and like I'm genuinely fascinated.
So I'm an ENFP. Tessa knows this. You are kind of like, I can have a bit of a chaotic energy, and so I know that I was drawn to you. Well, frankly, because you laughed at everything I said. And if someone thinks I'm funny, we're friends. That's really my ego talking, and it's very easy. That is how you charm me. You laugh at my wit. It's how I decide to date Zach. He doesn't laugh as much anymore. Eventually that does go down on both sides, but it's there. But yeah, you're right. He's not diagnosed. And even in like 500 Days of Summer, like, what the fuck is going on with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character? Like, there's something, and mental health or not, but it seems like there's depression going on, and then
and anxiety.
At least they don't diagnose. Thank God they don't diagnose Clementine, for the love of Jesus. Like, because they could have. Because, I mean, even I did in a way. They try to exhibit that she has a drinking issue, but we don't know. It could be...
It's Joel's experience of her drinking.
And it could be a temporary...
And he's drinking with her.
I mean, she was sniffing glue. So, this movie. She's a strong female lead. She does change the course of the movie because her erasing causes him to want to erase, right? Well, I mean, that is big. It's not.
But she's not pushing it. She's the impetus for the for why this action has begun, but I don't think she's pushing it forward.
She's the inciting.
Yeah. I'm going to say that she embodies a strong female lead in spirit, if not in category. Since Joel can have both a Clementine who's physically present and one that lives in his memory, this Clementine will live in my memory as a Azabelle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but you should definitely see the movie. I give it 4 out of 5.
Oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
Quality film. Visuals are great. Her character is a really good character. Mm-hmm. I wanted to know even more about her.
Yeah, I would watch this reversed, like 500 Days of Summer, like we talked about. I would watch Clementine's version of this with Joel as her quote-unquote Manic Pixie Dream Boy.
Yes.
Very excited.
And I don't know. What would you rate it?
Oh, I'm giving it 4 out of 5.
Ooh.
4 out of 5. One of my favorites. I just think it's beautiful storytelling. This was, and I love that we get to see a little bit of, giving it like a quarter of a point higher than 500 Days of Summer, literally because we got to see Clementine break down a little more and give her input on Joel. It's not just Joel's input on Clementine.
I would give it a 4 out of 5 too. I loved it. Hoffman does good work. You guys like his stuff. Go watch Being John Malkovich. It's another mindfuck. Although that one's just kind of fun.
Adaptation?
He did.
I love adaptation. I freaking love Nick
And
Cage.
also I can't say it. Schenectady, New York.
Schenectady?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Schenectady, New York. I didn't like that one.
I didn't see it.
It was too much. Like, then it just seems like it's... Sometimes I love having to think about the movie and figure it out, but sometimes I'm like, you're just doing this to trip me up. And at this point, I'm over it.
Yeah, I don't
Where it just is
want
confusing
to be,
for the sense of, like, I don't think audiences want to walk out feeling like they have no idea what they've seen. I actually think that has the opposite effect. Some people like it.
I've never even heard of that movie, so maybe that's why.
For me, you have to give me something, and it's not because I'm stupid. That's not why I didn't get it. It was too much.
Literally just like flexing on you and to be like, look how creative I can be. But I was like, the point always is going to boil down to storytelling. And if people don't follow your story, then what have you done?
I mean, I could try and watch it again, but I remember, and I think Philip Seymour Hoffman is in it, maybe, and I just was like, I don't know. It felt like an Inception, but different. Yeah. And not good.
Guys, I'm also so excited. This is next week is going to be the last week of our Manic Pixie Dream Girl exploration. And we're ending it with Girl on Girl, Manic Pixie Dream Girl, with Ingrid Goes West. So make sure you watch it on Hulu.
Guys, watch that movie.
I love it.
If you're not already a fan of Aubrey Plaza.
And the other Olsen. I love her.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget her name, but
Elizabeth
Olsen.
Yeah.
I do call her the other Olsen a lot.
She's great. She's just a really good actress.
Yeah.
She's in Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. Mm-hmm. And awesome. We should probably do that sometime.
And The Little Hours, if you've not seen that too, just for shits and gigs. I just loved it. It was
fantastic.
Seen that.
I think it's written by Aubrey Plaza's boyfriend, and I think his stuff is mostly improv. Is what she said on a. she said on a podcast I listened to, she
Yeah.
was interesting to listen to be interviewed. She basically sounds like she wants to be anywhere else but be interviewed,
yeah.
which I kind of love. But she actually is enjoying it, so it's just really what she's doing.
It's part of her like comedic persona.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that is truly authentic to who she is, and how much is coming from persona.
I'm not sure she knows based on the interview
Yeah.
that I listened to. But yeah, she's hilarious. She carries this movie, man.
It's fantastic.
Oh.
It's fantastic. I saw it in theaters and I was just like, what just happened to my face? I'm so excited.
Oh, I know. My face felt good too. It had enough of it, just like tapped into some cliches.
Yeah, and it was scary.
And
it
it
had
was
some twists and turns.
scary. There were costumes. And like Instagram and just, oh my God.
Some suicide, a little murder suey action. Well, there's no murder, just suey.
Yeah, if you like influencers and darkness, watch this movie.
Watch this movie and get at us next week. Follow us on all the things. We're at SFL_Chicago on the Twitter.
And at Strong Female Pod on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys.